What's going on, you cool people and replay crew? Hey, you guys, you're going to catch this. Live crew doesn't catch that part. You both got your little benefits to tuning in and watching replay crew. But, hi, I'm here with you. On this beautiful Sunday, 5/25/25. Just got done recording episode 52 of the podcast. So we got that going for us. That'll be out tomorrow, if I can get it edited and all that work done. But yeah, replay crew getting to hear about that first. The live crew, they'll get to hear that here in a little bit after some people start migrating in. But hope everybody's having a great day whenever you're watching this. And yeah, make sure you're tuning in to the podcast on Spotify. Links here in the channel. ACR, what's up, brother? How you recovering from the extra workout yesterday? I'm about to finish the Quad Nod coffee, by the way. Oh, it gets real strong at the bottom. Oh, told the wife I'm the great cornholio. Last easy day was yesterday. Oh my. I'm doing work down here in the studio and the cave and stuff, and this afternoon supposed to go next door for a cookout Memorial Day thing. So that's what we're doing today. And I'm thinking I might try to get laundry done today. Might kind of be that might be cool. It might be cool to get that done. But yeah, it's been a interesting day so far. Oh my! In the garage now, Johnny Depp style. Garage door open and in your Baxers. You know, if you position yourself just right and do the helicopter, like we were talking the other night with Twin, you do the helicopter, you could call it the ceiling fan. Welcome, Medic Up. I replied to your email, dude, so hit me up, man. Yeah, you could do the ceiling fan. Yeah. Oh, what a autism's great, isn't it? But it's not autistic. I'm just autism. Like that sticker right there says my autism hates communism, and it has like the trooper from like Iron Maiden or whatever holding an AR with like the puzzle pieces from autism falling out, and yeah, Mando gave it to me, so I had to put it up there because Mando actually is autistic, or has Asperger's rather. So, which I'm working with him to get him back onto an episode of the podcast. Probably going to be shooting for 54 with him. Because I want him to get involved with the next thing I'm going to cover, because it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be not necessarily a rabbit hole per se. It's going to be like a freaking bunny superhighway. It's going to be a big bunny superhighway. Like just pulling all the punches and we're just going full on. So anyway, Medic Up. I love that black out box video. We talked about that on Whiskey Wednesday a little bit. I'm talking about it in my podcast, on episode 53, actually. I think that is such a great thing, and often overlooked thing, is having one place to go to get. Good morning, Sassy. Welcome. I also like big bunnies, and I cannot lie. Big fluffy bunnies. But yeah, having that blackout box. One thing that I want to do when I build mine, because I have stuff all over the place, I don't have it centered, but I want to have something that's central, not just this here staged around like I have weapons and knives and all kinds of different stuff. I want to have a centralized box. One thing I'm going to do on mine is I want to put loom tape around it so that way it glows in the dark so I can see the box easier. If I don't have a light on me, I can at least see that, which I always have a light on me. But if somebody in my house, the daughters that run around in their little freaking leggings and little gym shorts and stuff, or the wife in her sweatpants or whatever, like they're not going to be carrying a flashlight. I am. So if the power goes out, that loom tape on that box will light up enough that they'll be able to see where the blackout box is to get lights, to get chargers, to get anything for starting fire, whatever the case. So I'm going to add loom tape to mine. Exactly. Why trying to find stuff when power goes out? I mean, I got like crap tons of freaking. I got a lantern right next to my door. I got a headlamp hanging on the door handle outside the door, so I can strap on the headlamp, get in here. I can see the switch to flip to kick on my 12-volt lighting in here for DEF CON, and I have lanterns and flashlights all throughout the house, and that's cool. But I can just grab one case and open it up, and there we go. Chargers, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we all have our own, several of our own battery banks, power banks that we charge up. Some of them are solar, some of them are actually wall, plug in, 12 volt. They can do all that kind of stuff. But having that central box and that Apache box is perfect for that. I got a smaller one that I use for my mic here. Like when I traveled up to do the Lake Bottom Lounge podcast. Took my mics with me and stuff and my headphones and all that kind of stuff. I have a Apache box that I put that stuff in for travel. But I want to get another one for the blackout. And thank you for doing that video, Medica. I appreciate that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm following your footsteps, brother. So it's been a fun day here. Allergies are insane. Got some local honey yesterday from about like 5 miles up the road to help with microdosing to get rid of the seasonal allergy crap. That way I don't have to lean into Zyrtec so much because Zyrtec and Allegra really aren't working for me right now. Wife's all snuggeried up just like Twin is. And there's like a lot of sinus pressure right now with allergies. Throat's getting sore and like you're sick. Like you have the swallowing freaking razor blades kind of stuff. It's pretty much like what Twin was saying. She's been dealing with that, and I have her hitting the honey and stuff like that too. But it's helping. But now she's got the squeaky voice. She's losing her voice, so it's all kind of squeaky. Like when she gets sick, she'll sound like Marge Simpson. But when she has the allergy kind of issue, she gets squeaky. It's like my squeaky toy or my Marge. One of the things that I absolutely loved about the wife is like one time I talked her into saying, "Oh, homie," and it was like hilarious. It was amazing. Used to watch The Simpsons when I was a kid. Haven't watched them for many years, but listening between rounds, Johnny Depth rounds or ACR rounds? That's the real question. But we really don't need the answer. Benadryl, oh my gosh. If she takes Benadryl, she's going to be out for the count. If I take Benadryl, the Quad Nods coffee is going to have nothing on me. Like Quad Nods coffee. Let me explain that. I explained it to Twin and to ACR and explained it to my Merry Band of Misfits this morning. To me, what I call Quad Nods coffee is Cafe Bastillo espresso roast. I make a strong brewed 12-ounce cup of that. Then I take and I do 4 quad shots on top of that. Add a little bit of sweet cream and yeah, and I'm down to the last little skibbit of it. So I am in the process of smelling the number 9. Everything sounds purple to me. I am already in tomorrow. So greetings and salutations to you folks in the past. I've already went through Sunday, and it's Memorial Day. I don't know what I would just want. I feel like I'm talking like the Micro Machine Man or an auctioneer or something. Cafe Bustelo is amazing. Yeah, when I do get the Apache case and get all the stuff for that, the way I'm envisioning mine, I'm definitely doing a video, and I'm giving the shout out to you for inspiring me to do so. Which, yeah, get with me in the email, and we'll work things out, because we'd like to work with you a bit, brother. So, yeah, I'm feeling superpower today. My one buddy Josiah, he was saying about how when he does like pre-workout and stuff, it's like this, that, and the other, and it's like 400 milligrams or whatever of this and that. And he said, "Good luck, Chase." And he calculated out exactly how much caffeine I have put in, and he's like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "Good luck chasing that monster." I was like, "No, you don't understand. I am the monster." Like, the whole, what was it, Captain Phillips? Look at me, look at me. I am the captain now. No, I am the monster. Chase me. So I took out the full effect of that on the podcast. So, Twin, welcome, brother. Yeah, I can't do Benadryl, because I'll just be like, it amps me up. If I do Benadryl and what is it? I think it's Benadryl and Excedrin. It will knock me out. But if I do just straight Benadryl, I'm gonna buy a boat. You like popcorn? I like popcorn. Taquitos are good. Have you ever smelled my favorite flavor? What's your favorite color? Like, I'll be that weirdo today, and I don't want that. I don't want that. No, that ain't good. That amped up metal is not a good metal to have, because afterward I rust. I will be down for the count. I'm going to be fighting it as it is today. This evening I'll probably be like drool dropping all over me. Cocaine and hookers. Cocaine and hookers. Hookers and blow. Hookers and blow. We always have the joke of hookers and blow around here. Quite fun. But yes, I have. Let's see, I got my little note card here. I did draw up a couple of little notes to throw some things out today. Just recorded episode 52. It is titled "Be Kind, Rewind." How to look to the past to see what's going on currently and potentially in the future. Because we can learn a lot from history, and if we see something that just kind of, why does that sound familiar? Look to the past. Be kind. Rewind. Learn about the past to learn the present and future. Talking about that kind of stuff, and kind of getting down into the deep underground military bases and stuff in that one. I will be recording episode 53, Clown Shoes and Singing the Blues, a little bit later today. And hi, Mama Bear. Welcome. Welcome. But yeah, I will be recording that later today. And as far as videos and stuff, I have stuff that I'm planning. I got too much other stuff going on. I will be getting to them as I can. I'm also needing some assistance from some other fine folks to be able to finish up some of that stuff that I need for certain videos. I did do a little bit of work on one of my Freedom seed dispensers here yesterday. I was inspired by Mr. Twin Arrows himself. I was inspired by Justin. And no surprise, because he's a good friend of mine. But he did the Hoffman Super Safety. And I'm like, I really like that. I really like that. But I don't necessarily need that on what I have right now. I am going to build something for that. And I will be doing that down the road. But for now, I got a screaming deal on a Rise Armament Rise 140 trigger setup, an FRT, for in my SIG. my thig. It allows me to have like about a 3.5 pound pole, very short. There's no take up. It's right at the wall. And then I go tink. That's 3.5 pound. Super smooth, super clean, like glass. But when the round cycles, it pushes it forward back to the wall. There is no take up at that point. There's a very tiny little creep, but none on the second shot. And if I just kind of like twin, I just kind of stick to that trigger a little bit from the window to the wall, as ACR said. Morning glory. That second trigger pull, I'm going from like mil spec, right, to rise. It resets the trigger to the wall, and I have about 1.5 pounds from what I measured on that second, third, and consecutive pulls. So it's going to be really freaking cool. Will I have a video shooting it on here? Probably not, because I don't want to give the algorithmic overlords in this space any kind of anything for anything. Look at how they hit Prepared C when he wasn't touching nothing within arm's reach, right? Yeah, they hit him. When they hit me, when I first started doing lives, they didn't go after me for the one I was holding, because I thought, okay, well, I'm just doing educational stuff. I'm not like, everything's cleared and whatnot. I'm the only one here. They were okay with me going on a mad minute a few years ago with a buddy of mine on one of his lives. That was perfectly fine back then. That was like pre C19, but they didn't hit me for the one I was holding. No, they focused on the one that was behind me. So I'm not going to be doing any of that on this space. And I'd love to. I would love to. But I want to be able to keep coming here and showing you guys my beard as it grows back. So I'm gonna refrain from doing that. So let's see here what we got. Yes, they do have stupid rules. They can eat them. They can suck one from behind on accident or on purpose, their decision, but they can suck one from behind. Not even Johnny Depp would touch that with his 10-foot pole. Just saying. Apple juice. I just got a new type for Whiskey Wednesday. So I will be unveiling that on Whiskey Wednesday. So make sure you tune in. Topic for this week on Whiskey Wednesday with my homie ACR. We're doing Whiskey Wednesday Volume 6. Volume 6 already. Going over mini kits. Mini kits. Small kits that you can take with you every day, stash, store, whatever, to give you that little bit of an extra plus up or upper hand whenever you don't have anything else. We're going over that kind of stuff. I am a savant when it comes to the mini kit. So diving into that this week. Yeah, I got to watch that, Glory. I got to watch that, man. Like, for example, like if you know anybody that chews, have them save you a couple cans. Whether they choose Zins or they choose Chew, where they choose Chew. They're a train. You know, either way, those things, Altoids tins. My golly. Even like I've taken like the or the Hills Brothers like little plastic coffee things, and I've made fishing and survival kits out of those and stuck in the spare tire well of the vehicle. Glove box, armrests, different stuff like that. Anything to give you a plus up when you don't have otherwise. So those are kind of what we're going to get into here this week. They definitely are what we're going to get into this week. Boy, this is a ride I'm on today. Drinking the quad nods and apple juice. That's the last of the quad nod. Whoo, whoo, whoo. That had the real lead in your pencil stuff in it. Yeehaw. Yeah. Yes, sir, twin. Yes, sir, twin. I always carry that boo-boo kit and the repair kit. In my truck, I keep my Camillus with the survival kit. I have a fire kit, I have a fishing kit, and my survival thing back there I've done the video on. And I've done videos on the fishing kit and the fire kit. Champagna punch, huh? I was actually smoking old fashions yesterday. We went over to the neighbors Friday night and hanging out with them. Her parents are up from Carolinas, and we're visiting, hanging out. And they have like with this machine that you put like these hoppers in, you fill up with reservoirs with whatever liquid, whether it be whiskey, tequila, rum, vodka, water, whatever. And you have these like little pods, kind of like K cups. You put in the machine, you tell it you want like a mocktail, if you want light, medium, or heavy. Well, you can set your glass in there and your ice, and it mixes the drink in the machine, kind of like a cocktail Keurig, right? So she was making old fashions with them and then sticking them in Von Smoker. It's like drinking a campfire with a little bit of alcohol to it. So I'm like, let me make you guys a smoked old fashioned, my style. So I broke out the hand grenade smoker and made them up and did my little fancy way of doing it. And I took two old fashions next door, and they were like, "Oh my god!" So I made them some old fashions, and then I ended up smoking my own for dinner. Wife and I did some. I did ribeyes on my smoker, and about an inch cut. Oh, fantastic! Delightful. The sourdough starter. I need to tell her to get in touch with you so she can get with you on all that, Mama Bear. That way you guys can directly talk. So one of these days here very soon, you'll probably get a friend request on Facebook, and then you guys can work it all out in Messenger. But yes, the sourdough starter, I have not forgotten. I threw it to her, and she's got 50 billion things that she's doing just like me. We also just welcomed a new member to the extended family. One of my best friends, they just had their second son, and he was just born on Friday. And we're getting to go see him tomorrow and get to meet the little guy. Very happy for them. They weren't supposed to be able to have their son. Their firstborn son, he's a great kid. I love that kid. He is one of my favorite kids in the universe. Such a good boy. He's into dinosaurs and trucks, which makes him that much cooler. But they weren't really trying for another kid. And here comes number two. So my hat's off to him. Love him. And can't wait to meet the little dude. But we're going to get into that tomorrow. And ribeyes were amazing. The fattier cut, I got them about an inch thick. Searing them off real good and then hit them with the smoker. And amazing. Amazing. But we got them local cut from the butcher up the road. So they were local grown, local raised, all that stuff. And completely like injection free, if you catch my drift. We do like their New York strips. However, they were not on sale, but the bone-in ribeyes were. So that's where we went. And they were fantastic. Future free labor is always a blessing. Yeah, I got a buddy that's got like 12 kids. No lie. He's got like 12 kids. And I was like, dude, what are you trying to repopulate your county? He's like, no, man. He's just like, I love kids. My wife loves kids. They're, I won't say they're like uber Christian, but they're very Christian. And he's like, that's the way it was back then. And that he came from a big family. She came from a big family. So they wanted to have a big family. And my hat's off to them. But I've done my fair share. Oh, you're good, Mama Bear. Starting a football team with a kicker. He's cable TV. Dude, New York strips for breakfast are no joke, twin. Not that there's ever such a thing as leftover steak with me, like leftover bacon. It doesn't exist in my presence. But I've made an extra for the following day, and I've made extra bacon for the following day or for lunch. Like I used to go and the wife would do me up a pound of bacon for myself for lunch the next, for meal prep. That I just devour bacon for lunch. It was quite awesome, and I felt very strong afterward. Same with the steaks. Feel raw afterward. It's awesome. Wrapped up 10 rounds. Oof. Were you on the bag? I'm guessing you were probably working out of your bag. Which I'll buy the fuck out of you. Bag and bike, okay. I'm this close here in the next couple weeks. I'm going to be clearing out the garage. Bobby B, welcome, brother. I'm going to be clearing out the garage and reinforcing the joists so that I can hang my heavy bag because I need to do that. I've been doing other stuff and working on the other things, but I do need to get the heavy bag back up. I would like to get a speed bag and get working on that because I do have the Mukyeonjang for doing all the techniques with the Kung Fu and stuff. But I want to get that heavy bag so I can work it over pretty good. Yes, it's an amazing workout. If y'all get the chance, I was half tempted to just get like one of those wrestling mats from Marketplace or something. People always seem to have wrestling mats or something on sale, taken and ratchet strapping them to a tree and just working the tree. I was real close to doing that, but I think I'd rather hook it up in the garage. I think that'd be far better. Apple juice. Here's to you. Maybe morning where you are, but it's afternoon where I am, so it's perfectly okay. Round is a shape. Round is it is definitely a shape. But you can have the round, or you can have the round. So I decided to try and move from the round to the round. And don't forsake getting in that cardio and I'm going to say like your respiratory, working on that kind of stuff, getting that heart going, getting that endurance built up. Endurance is something the modern day Minuteman definitely freaking needs. Prepared individual definitely freaking needs. So don't forsake that. Glory, here's me calling you a fat ass. Okay, this is me. Hi, your buddy Metal. I'm calling you a fat ass. Do better. ACR just did that whole do better thing. Great opportunity. You can start your do better at any given point, and there's no better time than now. So get to her. Get her done. Welcome, Jackson, big bearded warrior, my brother. Yeah, you just gotta. We have your wife on retainer to call people dorks if they don't show up to Whiskey Wednesday. I'm going to put her on retainer to call you a fat ass and throw Twinkies at you that are dipped in like motor oil or something so you can't eat them. Like, she can, like, when you go out to dinner, you get a double cheeseburger. She'd be like, fatty, add another patty. we'll get her on retainer for that to help you out there, buddy. I'm looking out for you, brother. Wait a minute. And that's cool. The side-by-side is amazing. Side-by-side is amazing, Glory. They're great. But, you know what? You can run side-by-side with somebody else. Side-by-side. Demo's wife will call you a fatty. Same as she calls people dorks, okay? Demo, hook that up, brother. Help old Glory out. But yes, you can run side by side with somebody else, or like ACR does. Take the dog, get a dog like Stella, and I ran so far away. Getting scraped. Start doing some workouts, dude. Yes, you can do up till that happens in July. Coming from somebody with like a shit ton of experience in working through injuries, in doing martial arts and MMA and all the shit, work on stretching now, like stretching and getting yourself more, limbered up and doing all the, stretching the legs, stretching the core, stretching the shoulders and arms and all that stuff, getting flexibility and stretching. If you can't work out, start in stretching. And I recommend to anybody that's going to get into working out, stretching, getting more limber matters a ton, just as Sassy just said. If you want to get fit, get a Stella. Yes. He sent me a was it a Facebook reel or something, a Facebook short or something on Malinois, and I'm like, that's literally sounds like your dog, dude. Whereas I have a golden floof. So welcome, Randall. Finish working out and playing ball, and then he's going to go mow the rest of the neighbors' yards, and then he doesn't need Quad Nod's coffee. He's got the black quads he can drink afterward, which I'm looking forward to Whiskey Wednesday so I can unveil that new whiskey I found. They no longer carry my Nelson Brothers, my go-to. I love it. They no longer carry it here. So I'm looking for something different that I can have as a staple. And I may have found it. Black Quads is not an ethnic orgy. It's a beer. But no, I found a new whiskey, and I'm getting ready to crack it for Whiskey Wednesday. I'm curious to see how good it is, how terrible it is. I'm hoping it's good so I can have a new staple. Yeah. Took away my Nelson Brothers. Can't get Buffalo Trace around here. They don't make lead. They don't have lead slingers here because I was going to try that since that's an ACR go-to. That's one of his staples. I'm like, I need a new staple. So I'm hoping this one, and I'll unveil it on Wednesday. We'll see how it goes. We do have 1835. They do not have that, Randall. I have looked for it before. My cousin recommended it to me, and I cannot find it. We're like very, very limited. It's either you're paying like 100 and something for a freaking bottle, or you're paying like $10. They have a few floating in around 30 to 40, 50 in there, but the rest of them are like super high end or super like bottom of the barrel kind of shit. I'm not a fan of the bottom of the barrel. Believe it or not, I'm not a fan of like some of those high end ones because I've had high end stuff, wine, whiskey, bourbon, all of it. I've had high end stuff that was absolutely freaking terrible. But whenever I bought the cheap stuff, it was fantastic. I don't know. But yes, being flexible, being able to stretch, even if you think you're limber, you feel limber or whatever, keep stretching. Just getting that type of excitement into your muscles helps tremendously when you do go to work out. If you're having to have any kind of procedures, it does help you in recovery, believe it or not. Um, been there a couple times and it helped me tremendously. Robert, welcome, sir. How's the missus doing, Robert? And how are you doing, sir? Yeah, honestly, twin, being a bigger guy, taller guy, ACR, like my one of my Sifus, one of the guys that taught me kung fu, was like the size of ACR. And that dude could do full splits and he could do like cartwheels and round offs and like front handsprings and all kinds of like crazy stuff. And he was a bigger dude, but he worked on stretching and flexibility. So just saying, just saying. Uh, Still above the dirt for now. That's always a good thing, man. That's a good thing, brother. Keep it that way. One day at a time, and as Twin says, always forward, right? But now, recapping on our amazing show that we had on Wednesday, Whiskey Wednesday. Glad to hear that she's doing good. Been praying for her and praying for you, brother. And I hope it keeps going that way and trending that way, man. Kind of like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like Jackson said. Dude, bigger dude, he could like kick you in the next county. I mean, doing the stretching and doing that kind of stuff, and then studying Jeet Kune Do under Bruce Lee, amazing. Um, but Whiskey Wednesday, amazing show we had with Twin. Um, very glad we could work it out and get Twin on the show with us. I talk a little bit of martial arts here. I talk a little bit about martial arts on the podcast. Um, a lot when Twin was talking about different stuff, I'm like, ooh, I want to say something, but no, I'm going to let Twin go because he's got this. Twin's got a lot of experience in martial arts. I have a lot of different experience in martial arts. He has one side of things, I have another side of things, but we come together when it all boils down to it. We both studied some similar systems, and as you heard, we have common people we've known throughout our time in martial arts. I've never studied under his instructors. He's never studied under mine, but my instructor and his instructor were in the same school together, studying under the same guy there. So we have the family tree there between us, which is really freaking cool. I also have family tree ties to Zoltan Balthroy, Five Finger Death Punch, as well as Jason Statham. I joke around about being the broke down Jason Statham or the Timu Jason Statham, but I do have martial arts ties in my family, martial arts family tree to both Zoltan and Jason Statham, which is really freaking cool. But doing that kind of stuff, you kind of start developing like a sixth sense. We talked a little bit about like the drunken style kung fu and drunken style martial arts. I studied drunken kung fu. Talked a little bit about that. Go to my Sifus, and he'd put the rice wine in the cups, and you have to do your drunken forms without spilling a drop. And then your reward when you finish the form is you get to drink the sake. And I was really good. I paid attention, and I practiced a lot at home. Did my homework so that way whenever I went there, I could drink more. But drunken system is no joke. It takes a while to get used to it, and there's a completely different perception. There's a completely different way of doing things. It's crazy. But if you've seen the movies with Jackie Chan, Legend of the Drunken Master, and the original Drunken Master with Sam the Seed teaching in that, yeah, there's a whole nother level to all that. That if you can be an amazing martial artist at Taekwondo or Tang Soo Do, Muda Kwan, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, Wing Chun, Sai Fu, you could be amazing martial artists at those styles. But then whenever you get into the drunken stuff, you start kind of doing this and you start swaying, and your perception of everything is like completely different. There are so many cool different things in martial arts that people don't even realize. Catch up chat here real quick. Yeah, Glory, you probably do know people that Twins people know, and you probably know people that my people know. Drop a log about 8 feet in the air, turn around and caught. Freaking ninja dog. What's happening, TMT? Welcome, sir. Yeah, I don't mess with ticks. I hate them. But in martial arts, I was talking about that. The thing in martial arts is it gives you that layer of defense that a lot of preparedness does not talk about. You see the guns, you see the pistols, you see some knives come out. Knives tie into martial arts, hand-to-hand combat, not just bushcraft and all that kind of stuff. You actually can use those. Same with like sticks, using your rifle as a, combatives weapon, not just shooting, but using it as a blunt force weapon. How to make improvised weapons, different things like that. Kajuken bow, good system. That's one I haven't studied, but I know it. I know what you're talking about. I have a buddy of mine that studied it. He's what, 22 years into it now. He's an instructor and all that stuff. Really good at what he does. Never got to really study it with him. We played around and he showed me a couple things, but I didn't really get to like immerse myself in it as I did with the other stuff. They're talking about how has Johnny Depp's attention. The right gnat on a wall or the right fly on a wall could get Johnny Depp's attention, or Johnny Depp could get their attention. Just saying. But martial arts, whenever you're talking about preparedness, you have that last line of defense before you completely get dominated or run over. Eventually, here we're going to do discussion about CQB. And CQB, if somebody bum rushes you and pins that rifle up against you, you can't use it. Over the top with Muay Thai elbow, and another one grab them and pop their nose, right? You have to study that kind of stuff. You have to practice that kind of stuff. At close range, my knife doesn't have to be reloaded. My stick doesn't have to be reloaded. If I'm having to do the things with the knife and somebody tries to grab the knife out of my hand on initial first, as soon as I deploy it, I'm trying to find a home for it, right? It comes out of the sheath, it needs to go to a target. None of this dance around for 10 minutes like this in a circle. It's bullcrap. That does not happen. Knife fights are very deadly, very brutal, very bloody, very nasty. You got to get to work. As soon as you deploy that knife, you're getting to work now. You almost have to practice your knife draw like you practice your pistol draws. Just saying. Now, that knife, when you get it out, and you're trying to find a home, you're not dancing with it. They try to grab that knife out of my hand. All they have, I have the handle in my hand, okay? And like knife, I have the handle in my hand. Blade sticking out, right? All they can grab is the blade. They can try and grab my hand, but I can cut them. As Robert said, knife handling is a must in CQB. Let me see if I have mine handy here. There's my helmet. There's my knife. So this is just a cold steel trainer, just a flexi rubber trainer, right? I just put the gold paint on there so I can simulate it being a single edge weapon, or I can just treat it like a double edge. Somebody grabs my knife, I can turn and I can fillet their arm. If they try to grab the blade, guess what? I just cut their fingers. If I'm reverse grip and they try to grab, you can get somebody if they're trying to grab your hand and you have a knife. But as soon as that knife comes out, it needs to start doing work. Just saying. If I'm pulling my knife, it's seeing blood. Yes, it is. Every time. I'm not like the samurai. If I have to pull a blade, I have to clean it before I put it back. Follow the way of the samurai when it comes to the blades. I like how you have that set up. I really like that knife twin. Hey, Krista, how's the trailer coming along? Saw on Twins Live you were getting ready to start doing some work on that today, so bear it ass. Welcome, Savage. Savage, you are right. The fact about knife fighting is everyone gets cut and hurt. There's no getting around it. Knife fights are terrible. But if you are having to deploy a knife in a situation when you're in that CQB life, you want it to, you got to be handy with the thing. Got to be handy with the steel. Earn your keep. Regulators. Sounds good, Medica. Take care, brother. We'll catch you on the flip side, man. But yes, you definitely have to know how to use these things. You can practice shooting. You got to practice these too. Just with your physical training, doing the weights and the running and all that kind of stuff, you got to practice with these things too. And I want to showcase that here in my videos coming up. Still trying to figure out how to shoot the videos for the best effect, because there's going to be videos leading into the knives to demonstrate certain things. It's not an end all be all. I'm not telling you this is how you do it. This is how I might do it. This is what I found works in my situations of close to 40 years of doing this stuff, right? So it's not like I'm just like coming up with this on the fly. Okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and then you're going to drop the knife, and you're going to go. No, it's not a Mary Tato. Huss. And re-stomp the groin. This is like real deal. Like, you have to take this out. Somebody's getting messed up bad, whether it be you or them. You need to train so it's not you. Same thing as everything else. You need to train so it's not you. So, just saying, it's going to be coming up here at some point if I can get help with the training and the video recording, because it's hard to set up a tripod and use one spot when I need different angles all the time. And I'm not one to edit a video for 35 hours just to put out a 5-minute video. No. I want to do it in one shot. So I can be like, hey, can you come over here and do this? So I may end up having to get like the wife or Mando or somebody to help me out with it. And it's going to be several videos in a series, starting with empty hands, showing how they tie in with this, that, and the other into the knife and how you utilize a knife to maybe hopefully inspire some folks to get into that stuff and start training with that stuff. Consider it a primer, if you will. But that's something I do have planned, and I'm trying to get figured out. It is what it is. Time constraints and everything else. And it was actually supposed to be already done, and I was supposed to have it up on the channel. But with having to work like a moron and having to catch up with fuel pumps and sensors and this and that and so on and whatever, it's gotten backburnered. And I'm sorry, but my immediate fires get put out and need to take precedence over doing videos. But I love doing videos. I love doing podcasts, but all that stuff has to take a back burner to the real life occurrences. So, apple juice to you guys. I thank you guys for joining me here today. Look at this group. Look at this group over here in this chat. You guys are fantastic. You guys are awesome. But yes, martial arts is a huge passion of mine. I love it. As Twin said, it changed his life. It changed my life. Helped to make me a lot of the person I am today. discipline and responsibility and honor and integrity, those kind of things, I attribute, and work ethic, I attribute to martial arts and studying that vast majority of my life since I was 5 years old. So I I can't thank my instructors enough, and I can't thank my parents enough for getting me involved into it. Um, Growing up, when I was a kid, it was always like the Shokasugi movies and the Bruce Lee and the Chuck Norris and the Matthias Hughes and even Billy Blanks before he went Taibo. He had some great, cool, really cool movies out there. And I watched a lot of that stuff. And then I started getting into like Paul Vunak and Richard Costello and Randy Williams, one of my actual Sifus. I was studying his stuff before I even met Randy and got into Close Range Combat Academy. Um, I got into that stuff and I started studying it prior to even like getting into some of these martial arts. Fun story. So I always wanted to study Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun. And I live out here in the mountains in PA. Where are you going to find it, right? Because I'd been studying it as much as I could from books and magazines and VHS tapes and stuff like that. Well, then one day, my brother comes up and he says, "Dude, there's a guy that teaches Kung Fu. He works at a gas station down in town. From what I'm told, we should like go and try and find this guy, right?" I'm like, "Okay." Went out to his motorcycle, threw on the helmet, and we rode into town. We pull in, I grab my Dr. Pepper and hostess coconut cream pie from back in the day. And, those little rectangle pies you tear off the top and the cardboard goes down and you just eat the pie. Oh, they're so good. The fry pies. Well, we get some stuff and we're looking for this Kung Fu instructor. And I don't know what he envisioned as like an instructor or what I was actually envisioning as who this guy was going to be. We didn't know his name, didn't know nothing about him other than he allegedly taught Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun. And I'm like, go back into the black belt theater and the Kung Fu theater and all that stuff. And what I've learned from watching these movies, they aren't generally who you think they might be. Perception, never judge a book by its cover, So there's this guy, he's got like a do-rag on, he's got like long stringy hair coming out underneath it, and he's, like I said, kind of built like ACR. And I'm like, he's checking us out, doing our stuff, and like, man, too bad we couldn't, guess he's not here. That's what my brother said. And I'm like, I just elbow him. I was like, he's like, okay, your total's da, 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 and I paid him. I was like, he hands me the change, and I'm like, thank you, Sifu. And he's like, wait, what'd you just say? I said, thank you, Sifu. I was like, come over here. He walked around the end of the counter. I walked around the end of the counter, and he was the manager there. And he just like throws a punch at me, and I do Tan Pak Da. And he poks out of the way. He's like, where'd you learn that? I said, Brandon Lee, rapid fire. He's like, threw something else at me, and I did Bang Lap Da. And he's like, where'd you learn that? I was like, Bruce Lee, Chinese Connection. He's like, here's my card. Saturday at 10 a.m. at this gym is where he was teaching time. So my brother was like, whoa, how'd you know that was him? I was like, something in my gut. And so we went to our first class and we started studying at this gym and started doing stuff and getting to meet some of the other students and everything else. And it was super cool because it was like the old sage kind of deal. I just kind of knew it had to be him. Just felt the energy coming from the guy. And I'm like, that's got to be him. My brother had no clue. He was looking, I don't know if he was looking for like the, It Man or looking like for a Jackie Chan or Jet Li or something like that. But you never know. Bobby B, take care, brother. Be safe. Enjoy the time with the Grand Chitrin. Yeah, Robert, I do wish there was more, you know, more ability for all of us to like actually train together and do stuff. This is like our YouTube guild to kind of inspire everybody to do these things, in the guild we have here. Unfortunately, we can't do it all together. Like my closest neighbor, obviously I call her neighbor, Grit and Grace, about 45 minutes away. Some of you guys might live closer to each other, at least in the same state or something like that. But you guys can at least find these things and use resources to discover what you can do in your areas. But yeah, we ended up studying under Sifu Rod for a few years. He introduced us to some other instructors that he worked with, one being down in Maryland, Sifu Jackson, and then we had Sifu Randy up in Williamsport. And we got introduced to other instructors through them and worked with different groups. We did work with the Gracies. We did work with camp up in Massachusetts. Some of you might have heard of it, called the Lion's Den. Spent some time working with guys from Lion's Den. It was a great time. That gym that Mr. Shamrock has is like 5 billion degrees and it stinks to high heaven. But the amount of knowledge and experience you get when training there is incredible. I was just a kid for all intents and purposes whenever I was coming out with a movie, based on one of the guys we got to spend some time with. A little bit of time, but hell of a cool guy. Mark Kerr, shout out, man. It's been many years, but the little bit of time we got to roll around and do some stuff and learn some techniques and stuff like that. It was very valuable, and I'm very thankful for that. Great people up there. Ken's a hell of a good dude. He got a little fire in his belly, but he's a hell of a good dude. Love the guy. But yeah, we got to do some really cool stuff from that experience of meeting that guy you'd never think was a kung fu instructor. Met him in the gas station, and something in my gut just told me, "Thank you, Sifu." And he heard it, was like, "Hey, wait a minute. How do you know to call me that?" And then it went from there. And because of that, I ended up meeting other instructors years later after I became an instructor under Hilligas Kung Fu Institute. I ended up working with other instructors that I met in much the same way. One of my instructors, shredded out, like chiseled physique, black dude with dreads all the way down past his butt, working at a place that did like paintings and stuff like that. I think it was called Grasshopper Graphics back in the day in the Park City Mall, Lancaster. Walked up and I was like, "Yeah, Sifu. Hi, my name's Nelson. I heard." He's like, "How'd you hear about me?" I was like, "Legend and lore, man." He just laughed and he's like, "Yeah, well, I do my classes on these days. This is where you go, so on and so forth. You'll see us out in the field. Just show up and feel free to join us." He's like, "What systems have you studied?" and so on and so forth. And I told him about Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do and the different forms that I'd studied and what I had attained in those. He's like, "Well, I look forward to training with you." So we got together and I studied with him for about 2 years. Started studying Shaolin systems, all the animal forms, and I got into the drunken style, drunk fist boxing, as well as drunken monkey kung fu with him. And we go on camping trips and all kinds of stuff. It was an outdoor class. If it was raining sometimes and it'd be like a private lesson, would be inside. But yeah, we trained outside. At my Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun classes, Muay Thai, and Jiu Jitsu, we trained outside all year long. We train in the grass, we train in the gravel, we train on the pavement, we train in the concrete, we'd train in carpet, we'd train in the rain, sun, snow, didn't matter. So when I had my school, that's how I did it, is we trained outside all the time. Even if there's a foot of snow out there, we're still doing stuff out in the snow because the environment is completely different all the time. So you're going to know what to look for, how to react, how to act in those environments. The importance of training all year long. Krista, I know you're the furthest away. Let me do some thinking and reaching out to some of my homies that are still up there and see if anybody's got any good ideas for possibly some places or some people you could do some training with. Some of my guys have gone dark because of the nature of their jobs and what they did and who they work for. They've gone dark, but I might be able to reach out to them and see. I may have to go back and through like 5 old phones ago to get in touch with them, but I'll see what I can do, Krista. ACR doing the dishes. Yeah, that's the problem with dishes. They don't do themselves. But yes, working with the different instructors and everything, I train outside. We always train outside. We never wore pads or anything like that. If you get hit, you're going to get hit when you're training and you're sparring. You're going to get hit. Just know it's with love. There's never like ill intent or malintent with your, Quan or dojo family. Your training class, there's never any ill intent. That shouldn't be. It's everything's with love. I've gotten punched in the face, punched in the ribs. I actually had a couple ribs fractured. At one point, we had a guy visiting our class that was studying with us. He was from over in the Netherlands. He was a Dutch kickboxer. And he didn't really so much as want to study with us as he wanted to like impose his stuff on us in the class. So he was trying to he had ill intent, but the rest of us didn't. He lined up and we were doing Muay Thai and he hauled off and just wailed me. He was trying to do trade kick for kick with me and I wasn't going to hurt the guy. I wasn't going to put everything into it and hurt him because I'm not that way. He was included in our family at that point and I'm not going to try and hurt a family member, home team, right? Well, I wasn't going to wail on him, but he didn't feel the same way. He didn't have that respect. So he hauled off and wailed and put everything into it. And he ended up fracturing a couple of my ribs. And I was like, oh my God, never had fractured ribs before. And it sucked. But my brother, he sent the same message back to Johan. And Johan didn't come back to class after that. Is what it is. But anytime we were training with any of the family, did we pull our punches a little bit? Yes, because we didn't want to hurt anybody in our home team, right? So, but we trained bare hands, bare shins, bare feet, no foam pads to cover, not obviously in our bare feet, but on our street shoes. And we did the stuff, but we never had malintent to hurt someone in our class. We train on the training dummies and the heavy bags and everything else, letting it all out. But on our family, we did not do that. It made us a lot better. When I was training guys in my system, Soy Shu Tao, it means the way of water. I worked with them in the same fashion. And we did a lot of conditioning. Like we were talking about rolling pins and stuff like that. And, shinais to the forearms and stuff like that. And doing the Mukyeonjang dummy and doing the hot sand training with our hands and our fingers and our fists. We did all that kind of stuff. And guys that I had that weren't a green sash level. In my system, green sash is your first. Green like grass. You're green to it. The old Turner phrase. But I started out green sash was in our system. And they went and they fought in tournaments just to see. There were open tournaments, whatever systems. And anybody who's ever heard of KTFO. Well, I had a couple green sashes and guys that hadn't made it to green sash yet who decided they had a good idea. They were going to, good idea, fairy struck. And they went to this tournament. And they went and said, let's see what we can do. One of the guys I trained is actually ranked, and he's ranked rather well, Michael, shout out to you if you ever see this, brother. I miss you. I hope all's doing well. From the sounds of things and what I've been told, you're doing amazing. He went to Thailand and studied with masters, and he is actually a ranked fighter in Thailand now. From me teaching him, he's gone on and studied under other masters, and he's a ranked Muay Thai fighter. Dude changed up his physique. He was like a skinny little spaghetti twig nerd with glasses, and he started with my training, started building up and bulking up and everything else. And I had moved out to Washington and lost touch with him. But one of the other guys actually kept in touch with him, was best friends with him. He said he moved on to Thailand and did all this stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. And he sent me a picture of him, like, holding up his belt and stuff. And I'm like, that's Mike. No way. That's awesome. I am so proud of him. But these guys went to these tournaments and they're fighting third degree black belts and just mopping the floor with them, because they're keeping things simple and they're not getting over saturated with pomp and circumstance and tradition. Tradition's great to understand it and take it upon you, but cast away what is inessential. Only hold what is purely essential to what you need. And so those guys were like mopping the floor with these dudes, and it's like, what system do you study? We're like, oh, we study Shoishu Tao. And they're like, what's that? And I started getting a lot of people reaching out to me about studying Shoishu Tao. But at the time I'm moving, I was out there in Washington. I had a couple students when I was living out there. They didn't last too long because they ended up moving, or I got caught up in work as I was working 6-7 days a week sometimes. It was a hard time for me to be an instructor when I lived there. Hard for me to do anything when I lived there, actually. But yeah, boxing to wash and dish is their ACR. It's like a pimp. You're the pimp or the other side of that equation, depending on how you want to look at it. And that's another stigma that people carry, is, like Robert said, is getting into full contact competition. I fought in Grand Nationals in 2001 in Taekwondo. I've never studied Taekwondo a day in my life officially. I've learned a few things from some people and I've studied the art itself, but I've never been in Taekwondo class. I've never ranked, never nothing, never did anything Taekwondo. And then I go to Idea Fairy, I get an invitation in the mail because I'm ranked as a black belt in other systems. I got an invite to go to the Grand Nationals, and they were having an open tournament for sparring. I'm like, okay. Good luck, Krista. Godspeed. Best of luck to you in what you're doing. All skill, I'm sure, no luck. But got into this open tournament, and I asked my instructor at the time if it was okay, so on and so forth. And he's like, yeah, by all means, test what we have, what you do against this other system and see how it works. Okay, cool. Well, there was another guy in his class that was higher up in the class, been studying for a long time. And he was also a bigger dude. We said he did the white ape system because he was a big freaking dude and he was built like an ape. Sifu bestowed upon him the rank of black belt and gave him a certificate and stuff, because in that class we did not have belt system. He gave him a black belt for this tournament so we could go in. I had to lie about my weight. At the time I was like 155 pounds. Post DOD and all that, I lost a bunch of weight. And I lied, said I was 175 when I was only 155 at the time. Now I wish I was like 175. But anyway, lied about my weight to get into the fight, to fight in lightweight when I was actually like a bantam or a feather, depending on what structure. Went into the tournament, and Valley Forge, PA, 2001, Grand Nationals. Your boy, who's never studied Taekwondo and open sparring, they called it continuous sparring. I got 6th in the nation in open sparring. And the part that was hard for me, this is why I got 6th. Because I was restricted down to what I could do because of that tradition, because of their structure and their rule set. I trained for fighting, not for competition in sport, right? So he had very long legs, and you could come that far, like, 2, 3 feet away, and throwing a kick or a punch, and you just scored a point, or 3 points for a kick, 1 point for punch. You don't have to make contact. If it's 3 feet away, you get the points. I hadn't figured out that aspect of things because I'm a actual fighter. Like from MMA, you're making contact, you're hitting somebody, you're taking hits. Not this where I can just be like, yeah, that's a point because I like the wall, is like 6 feet, 7 feet back there. Yeah, I just scored 2 points against the wall there. Well, I hadn't figured that out. It was a different concept to me altogether. But then I ended up, whenever I would bridge that gap and I would get closer so I could actually hit and make contact. I would light contact, perfectly fine. That's what it's about. It's supposed to be light contact. When I get in close, dude would try and throw these like obscure, I can't even call them punches or whatever, or he'd try to like throw like get up close and throw out a push kick to push me back so he could keep me at distance and keep throwing the long range, long leg kicks at me that are like that far from me. They're not going to make contact because he's fully extended trying to reach me, and he's getting points and I'm not. So I try and bridge the gap and get in close and work my hands and trips and everything else. And at one point in time, he threw an axe kick and I caught his kick and I put him down and I had him in a knee bar. And the refs are like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, it's an open tournament. Like, what the heck? They stand us back up and they take points from me. So then we get into it again and he throws a roundhouse and I put him down and I put an ankle lock on him. They're like, you can't do that. Oh, I'm sorry. He threw a wild punch and I flipped him over and I went to go for an arm bar and they're like, no. So I kept getting points taken from me, even though I'm actually the guy better off in that exchange. Until it came down to it, dude ended up throwing a kick and he caught me in the eyeball with his toe and he scratched my eye and I had blood coming out of my eye, like running down my face. Long story short is I had them check it out. They're like, you can continue to fight. I was like, I have one eye. I'm going to keep going unless the doc over here says I can't. Well, then the doc stopped me. And then the guy I was fighting won the match. Him and his entire camp like flocked over to us after the match. Like, dude, what system do you do? And the guy said to me, he's like, literally, I don't know what system or what style you're using, but you absolutely destroyed me. I was like, you won the match. He's like, but you destroyed me. He's like, that knee bar, that ankle lock, that arm bar, like when you were hitting certain places, he's like, even though it's light contact, I could feel that was like devastating. That would be devastating if you put anything behind it. I'm like, doesn't matter what system I do, man. Here it's only Taekwondo rules. So I'm completely capped at like 3% of what I can actually do. I can tell you're an amazing martial artist at what you do, but you're also capped at about 3% of what you can do. He said, if we met up in the street or in real life and I came upon that, there's nothing I could do. He said, you destroy me. I said, because you're following this, sphere of this is what you're allowed to do. I don't have that in my system. So we started talking and our two camps were talking back and forth and exchanging information and everything else. Those guys are really cool, but he flies on a private jet to tournaments all over the country. And that's what he does. I don't. And I still got 6th in the nation in 2001, 24 years ago. And I'm pretty proud of that I jumped into their sphere and I still got 6th in the freaking nation out of hundreds of people that came up through the bracket. I got 6th. and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, glory. Godspeed to you, man. Having a house full of people. Neighbors are having a cookout, get together, smoking ribs and doing stuff. And I'm not, besides here, I'm not really peoply today. I'm just kind of like, I just kind of want to like chill for a minute, at least like an hour, and then get back to doing the other stuff I need to do. But that's not going to happen. Amen, Robert. Tournaments are a realm of their own form of reality, and that is 100% correct. I fought in other tournaments and stuff, and I fought in MMA matches and stuff like that, and it's its own thing, man. MMA was better, but like tournaments, it's like it's very clicky. If you get what I'm saying there, it's super clicky, and the reality of like, do I watched dudes doing weapons forms, and the guys were really good at spinning the stuff around, but you could tell. Larry, welcome, sir. Much love to you, brother. I'll have a Yingling later today for you, man. Dragon Slayer is a good buddy of mine. But yeah, the reality of tournaments, these guys are like spinning these weapons around and doing all this cool stuff, and they're doing all these flip kicks and all this kind of stuff and landing in splits, and it's awesome to watch. It's really cool. It's like you're seeing the movies in real life. But in real world application, it wouldn't be that good. I don't know. Hell yeah, brother. I got the apple juice here. So shout out to the Misfits. Just two of us at the beach in our RV. Ooh, that's awesome demo. It's an awesome demo. And like I was talking with a little bit to Twin on Wednesday, Whiskey Wednesday, about that. Is you get an adrenaline rush when you're fighting in a tournament, and whenever you're fighting in an MMA match, you get a certain type of adrenaline that after the match or after the tournament, it kind of like fades off, and you're like, okay, and you have your cooldowns and all that stuff. Whenever you're dealing with it in a real life situation, you have that adrenaline that spurs up, and it's a different type of adrenaline that whenever it's over, like you have a fight in real life versus a tournament or an MMA fight or something like that, that real life occurrence, an event, your adrenaline is different. And after it's over, it's different. I've had however many, I never counted, occurrences in real life that recovering from that adrenaline was hard compared to tournaments and MMA. It was so much different. Like I felt more of a fatigue from like a 15-second interaction and fight in real life versus 3 5-minute rounds or 3 3-minute rounds or whatever the structure was in the fight exhibition versus real life. So that adrenaline stuff coming down from that is no joke. Oh, Glory, you take care, brother. Keep it real. Enjoy the time with the folks and enjoy the food, brother. And yeah, get to it. Start doing that stretching, man. Get limbered up. Even though you're limber, get get them stretches in, man. Just so y'all know, Dragon Slayer is a Sparky like me. We have a bond besides the whole preparedness and Minuteman thing. We're both electrical, so I am proud to consider Dragon Slayer one of my local brothers. He actually lives fairly close to Pat. So, guys, demo, you're a Sparky too. and I'm just finding this out. What the hell, man? Well, that one was for you, demo. Hooah, Dragon Slayer. Let me check in with the device here because it's been going vroom, vroom, vroom over here and I haven't looked at it. And it looks like the wife and daughter went to go get stuff from the store. And good old Island of Misfit Toys. Folks talking in there. Yeah, we were definitely grunts. I didn't get to the level that you did in that. Y'all heard the story and the lore. I ended up finishing my stuff out in DoD, but because of the old knee. But you got your license in '99. I got mine in '98, year before you. But I don't fancy myself as being a grunt. I'm more of like the Himalayan whistle boy, indentured manservant to Uncle Sam. that's where I fit in. Puddle pirate. I haven't heard that term in quite a while. At least you weren't a blue falcon, okay? At least you weren't a blue falcon. I have quite a few buddies that were coasties, and one of my best friends, he is a coastie. He's a massive mountain of a guy. Does powerlifting. Big beard, shaved head, Viking tattoos. He also is a Norse fella. Yeah, nobody makes fun of the coasties whenever Ironside's around. Dragon Slayer can attest. Ironside is a mountain of a dude. He doesn't push himself up when he does push-ups. He pushes the world down. Long years of construction, found a good niche and job at a hospital. That's kind of what I did too at one point. I was working for the hospital here as a technician, and until they closed our wing of the hospital down, and now it doesn't even exist anymore, the company they replaced us with. But I'm happy back being in grid power and working that stuff on the supply end of things, and yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of nice. You're having to watch the dogs, and upstairs Magnus is going absolutely berserk, so I need to check my cameras if y'all excuse me. I'm guessing the neighbors' dogs are out, and Magnus has a crush on the neighbors. They have a King Charles Cavalier. She is adorable. I love that dog. She's amazing. Oakley is awesome. But Magnus, my golden retriever, has a crush on her. He's in love with the girl next door. And her uncle, Charlie, he is a Bernie Doodle. Our neighbor's mom and dad, they brought their dog, Charlie. And that's his best buddy. He loves Charlie. Charlie's his dude. And he probably sees those girls, or that boy and that girl outside running around over there. Well, the neighbor's friends probably brought over their dog, Willow, and she is awesome. She's like a husky lab something or other. She's a mutt, but she's awesome. And she likes to come over to our house and visit. Like, if the door's open or something, she'll just like walk in the house and be walking around, and Magnus will be like, "Oh, friend." So the dogs are probably out back, and that's why he's going nuts. Bitches be tripping. They come and eat, and then I'll eat once everyone else is finished, so they don't have dogs bugging them. Married the next door neighbor 44 years ago. I know, Dragon Slayer, right? It's 44 years now. Damn, brother. Time flies. Time flies, man.
we have to get together soon, dude. I'd like to try and plan that up and get the misfits together, and eventually here Grit and Grace and I we want to come together and try and do some kind of a meetup here fairly locally, for all the YouTube folks, and I'll invite the misfits to that too. But yeah, man, something I do, Glory, is whenever I have dinner, our nightly dinner, or we have a holiday dinner, or we have a cookout or a party or something like that, I always eat last. I, as the king of the castle, as the alpha wolf, I want everybody in my realm to eat first and make sure everybody else is taken care of first before I take care of myself. So the pecking order is guests, kids, and wife, then me. Whenever we're having the party, everybody else kind of fills in as they do, but I always eat last, just to make sure that everybody is taken care of at my table first. For sure, man. For sure, I need to get a handshake and a hug from my boy. But yeah, it's been too long, man. Get some of you guys that have been in the island long enough. It's been a while, and meet some of the new faces too. Yep, Robert, same dude. I can't break bread until everybody else has broken bread. Yeah, man, that's it. Servant's heart, man. I I'm the pack. The If you're here at the house, you're in my realm. You're in my pack. You're in my tribe. You're in my guild. You're in my mag. Whatever. You're taken care of first. I want to make sure my people are taken care of first before I am taken care of. Just as it is then, as it is in life, man. Dragon knows me personally, so he knows that's true. Even when we got together over at Crank's place, Crank and I kind of hang back because I brought my knights over and everybody coming from all over to come to the get-togethers and stuff there. Crank and I kind of hang back and we let everybody else dive in. And then Crank and I went to eat. But I haven't talked to him in a bit, and I miss talking to the man, so I'm going to have to reach out to Crank one of these days soon. I know he's busy with the school board and everything else in the realm of Smith's Custom Seats, but I'm gonna have to reach out to him. See how our buddy's doing. Robert, I was the same. I'm still the same. Even as a leader within my boy band here, that's the way I am too. Everybody has to be taken care of first before I am. Everybody else's well-being comes before mine. Even in my family, their well-being comes before mine. That's just how I was raised. That's what my parents taught me. That's what martial arts taught me. That's what I learned from. I had my sergeants and all that kind of stuff in the military, but then the captain, he was the one that like really etched into my heart and into my being. And the way he led is what, pushed me to lead the way I do. And, you lead from the front. That's the way I was taught. So that's the way I've always been. So I lead from the front. I don't stand back and quarterback it in. I don't phone it in from a talk. I'm out there. I'm not in the fob. I'm not in the talk. I'm out there on the ground doing the things. So could be my strength, could be my weakness, but it is what it is. It's who I am. It's how I've been. It's how I will be. Ain't no changing it. Apple juice is done. So with the apple juice being done, the time of the day being 13:35 on 5/25/25. Hammer, I have not talked to him in a while. Last I laid eyes on him, it was when he was in the hospital going through his treatment. I've heard that he's doing well and he's back to work, but I haven't heard anything from him. Reached out to him a while back, sent him a message, but you know how our message threads are on the device, on the app we use. I haven't seen anything. I don't know if something happened to his phone or whatever. Like my nephew, the bull, his phone went squirrely and died on him, and he had to get a new phone and was trying to get set back up on the app. And finally, after probably about 8 months, he was able to actually get set back up, and I just added him back to our threads. I maybe the same thing happened with him, or I don't know. So I'm going to have to give him a call one of these days soon too. I haven't talked to those guys from the former Alpha for quite a while. I talked to Josiah and I talked to Marauder quite often, but some of them I really don't get to talk to a whole lot. So I'm going to have to do better at that, reaching out to them. They haven't reached out to me, but that's not me. I'm going to reach out to them regardless. So yes, Robert, you take care of your people, they take care of you. I did the same thing when I was a foreman. Anybody on my crew, when I was a supervisor for DirecTV, whenever I was a lead technician at different places I worked and different stuff like that, I always took care of my people and they take care of me. One guy was having, when I was a foreman, we were working up in Allentown. He was having issues with his fiance. She was pregnant and everything else and so on and so forth. I mean, she was early on in her pregnancy and he had something pulling him back home. And I'm like, it was like a Tuesday night. I gave him $50 and I said, dude, grab your wife, your wife to be, grab her some flowers, do something nice, go home, spend the night with her, come back tomorrow. Be here at 7. If you're a little late, I'll still clock you in at 7. But be here at 7 and let's do the rest of the week. You know, tonight's hers. Go back home. I'll fill your truck back up with gas in the morning. We'll get you all squared away with that. Go spend time with her. Take care of her. She needs you right now. Are you sure? Are you sure, Metal? Yes. Go. Why are you still here talking to me? If you need anything, text me, call me, whatever. Went, got her flowers. He sent me a picture that he bought her flowers, kind of confirmation that he did so. Bought her favorite flowers, went home, spent the night with her. He came back. Guess who was standing on site? On site at probably before, but he was there at 7 and had my coffee just the way I like it. Handed me a cup of coffee from a local place we always got our coffee at. Yeah, he handed me my coffee and said, thank you. And he gave me a hug and he had tears in his eyes. He said it meant the world to me and it meant the world to her. Thank you so much. I've never had a boss ever do that for me. And that was incredible. Thank you so much. Dude was so appreciative. His wife-to-be was so appreciative. It was something that was going to, you know, get passed on to their kid too, you know, even still being developed and stuff. There's positive vibes. We're still going to get passed on to his next generation. Dude was a great dude. He worked his ass off all the time, but something was pulling him away and I noticed it. So I helped him out in that aspect. And guess what? He was back there at 7 and I couldn't ask for anybody better on my team. Anytime I had another project that I knew was going to be one of those that we're going to have to grind this out because we're picking it up and it's FUBAR and we're going to have to make, you know, chicken salad out of chicken shit. I always took him on my crew and he always performed beyond for me. I gave him, and I had compassion. I had concern and caring for him in that aspect to handle his situation and what he had going on. He ended up having a beautiful baby girl. I know that they got married about 3 months after this happened. They got married. They are still married. They are on child number 4. And he actually is now a foreman for another contractor in a different part of the state. And he's doing well. They bought their first home. Like, he's living the freaking dream. And I'm so happy for him. He was a few years younger and so on, but, you know, one of those Thundercats I took under my wing. And, you know, what I did then in that aspect of, like you said, the servant's heart, I instilled that in him, and he is running his life the same fashion. And it's really cool to see that. It's really cool to see that I had that kind of impression on somebody with something so simple as showing compassion, how it affected him and it stuck with him. And he's centered what he does and how he does on what I did. That's legacy, my friends. That is legacy. And when it comes to your kids, when it comes to your students, if you're an instructor, yeah, I know some guys that Bud's with here on the channel, they have training groups, and they teach people. We are what they grow beyond. When you teach that, a little bit of Yoda there, but when you teach somebody, they take that with them and they grow beyond what we teach them. Just like our kids, we are what they grow beyond. They grow beyond what we develop for them, that they develop their own. So something to keep in mind. Guy I know, he let his son drive his truck and he was pulling a trailer. And the trailer had weight. Those guys that drive truck understand that. Us rednecks, we understand that, having to pull around stuff that we do, and farmers understand that, pulling around trucks and trailers and stuff, right? Guys that boat, you understand what it's like having a boat behind you and having that extra weight when you're driving. Takes longer to speed up, takes longer to slow down too. Harder to turn, harder, like something jumps out, like a deer. Deer jumped out in front of the kid. While the kid was driving his dad's truck, his dad's in the passenger seat. Kid hit a deer. He tried the best he could, and he hit a deer. Well, they had a brush guard in the front of the truck and everything else. It did some damage, got rid of the brush guard. They can fix it, and a couple $100 and everything's fixed and back to new, right? But he flipped out on his son. And later on, he realized, I shouldn't have done that. I should have had compassion for him, because it was his first time ever dealing with something like that. He never experienced it. He didn't know what to do. He did the best he could with what he had at the time. He then apologized to his son and said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. That you did a great job with what you did. You did the right thing. You got to have that compassion. You got to have that understanding. You can't just fly off the handle. You got to have restraint, fellas. Ladies, you got to have restraint. Got to relax. You got to let things play out and assess it for what it is. You got to have that type of heart regardless. No matter what the situation is, you got to have a little bit of heart. And with that, the apple juice is gone. Got stuff I got to get to. You guys got stuff you got to get to, rather than just watching this dummy sitting here on the YouTubes talking to you. So you guys got to get out and do some stuff. Do some things. Be better, as ACR is saying in his Be Better challenge. Be better. Do better. Inspire someone else to be better. That was my part of the Be Better challenge. I didn't put anything out there. I didn't throw any videos out there, because what I'm doing, I don't have the physical thing to show myself working out or myself doing this or myself doing that. It's me inspiring others to be better. So that's what I've been doing. That's my Be Better check-in, is right here on my live on 5/25/25, an hour and 38 minutes in. Okay. I've been inspiring others to better themselves. That was my Be Better. Be better yourselves too. And whatever way you decide, however you want to do it, whether it's internally or externally, helping somebody else out, whether you're walking on a beach like Demo Man Don, just chilling out, living life, or your old Glory, having to deal with some kind of surgery coming up with the kidneys or something, and having to deal with that in July, he can at least get into the stretching and doing something to better himself in that aspect to help his recovery later. Where it's Krista out working on the horse trailer, getting it ready to get that horsepower coffee stand going. Whether it's ACR having to take a shower because he just did 10 freaking rounds on the bike and bag. Be better. Do something. Anything. Even if it's reading an Army field manual or a survival guide or Tactical Wisdom series by Joe Dolio. Reading that. Doing your due diligence with the Guerrilla's Guide to the Baofeng radio or Signals Intelligence and a UV5R radio. If it's spending some time with your kids, teaching them how to tie knots, teaching them how to start a fire, teaching them how to work on a carburetor, those kind of things. Be better. Be better and do that. And I will be releasing episode 52, Be Kind Rewind, on Spotify tomorrow at 0700 for Memorial Day. And thank you to all of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in uniform and out of uniform, because a lot of heroes are out there that haven't worn a uniform, but they also deserve our recognition. Keep them in mind. Keep them in your prayers, keep them in your thoughts, keep them in your hearts. Okay. And guys, I will catch you next Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. I point because there's a Batman over here and a Batman over here. Same bat channel. And I'll be back for another Sunday BS sesh. But we'll be live at 7 Eastern, 6 Central for Whiskey Wednesday. Me and our brother ACR Protect, Andrew and I will be doing it up again. And we will catch you guys then. So until then or the next time, metal out.